Okay, Faye, great job getting your assignment submitted. And I was just looking at um, your written rationale here. So I'm going to address all of this. It's in the change of the color text to go with the elements and logo flower. Yeah, I don't think the ad is too busy at all. I really don't. And that's one of the things I definitely look for first when critiquing the magazine ad. So that's really not a major concern. However, I will address your concerns in that regard. So let's go ahead and jump over to um, the layout, which I've got up here. All I want to do now, I just want to reduce this size a little bit so it fits in the window perfectly. So there we are. And then I want to remove that. I just want to kind of move that a little bit so that's not so distracting. Okay, perfect. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look. Now, what we have, the image I think is interesting. I think the ad is interesting. You've got this kind. Now, normally I would say the first thing I would say is that the ad is really super heavy. It's got very weighty. It's very heavy, and the reason I say that, of course, is because of the extensive use of black. Now, there's a couple of things you can do to lighten up the ad a little bit as far as visual weight goes, and I'll make those recommendations in a second. But right now, I'm okay with the black as long as you realize it's a really heavy, visually very heavy ad. There's some things we can do to make it lighter, and like I said, I'll go over that in a second. But I'm okay with the black. I'm going to recommend a couple of changes, but I think the black is okay only because of the fact that there's such a great tonal variation. The blacks are black, almost silhouette here. So I'm okay with the black in that regard, but I will give you some alternatives in case you think the black is too heavy. Um, right now, I think that the page mechanics is pretty good. What I would recommend is I think honestly I think that you've got to this is the type is really big for the URL. I would reduce that. So you've got the logo set up. That's good. The logo might even be a little bit large. I would say if you watch my cursor, maybe something like that on the logo. Logo's a little bit large. So you got the address under the logo. That's good. Now, Amethyst Bay, this is good, but it's really big. Now, you think about hierarchy. This has more higher, this has got a higher, this is higher on the list of hierarchy than the address only because of the size. Well, they should remain about the same, right? In terms of visual weight, since they're both contact information. For that reason, I recommend you reduce this. As a matter of fact, I would reduce it to a little bit smaller than the body copy so that it consumes something like that. Okay. Whoops, didn't want to do that. Okay, so once you get that established, then I want to talk about this area right here. The rest of the ad is mechanically sound. The background image, let's go ahead and take a close look. The background image seems to be pretty good quality. There's no really terrible pixelization or compression artifact therein. So I think that is pointing to a good image choice there. Let's go ahead and back out a little bit. Get back to full size. Um, Masked image looks fantastic. So your image treatments look really good. Masked image looks great, good tonal distribution there, good color. Same thing with the background image. This typographic composition here is a little bit problematic. And the reason I say that is because it's got these really unusual large gaps between your words in the first line. And then look how closely packed these letters are. That is an attribute of justified type. And the reason it happens is because when you justify type, you're telling the software that any leftover space that would be at the end of a sentence, if this were justified type, I'm sorry, if this were left aligned rag right, that spaces at the end of the sentence would be redistributed between the words. So quite often you don't want to use justified type for short little informational text. I believe it's and anything over like 35 characters, maybe even more, 7 words or so. You would want to use at least 7 words or so in a line in order to get decent spacing. You always want to be careful with justified type. I'm not a fan of justified type. I haven't used it in 25 years. I don't like the way it looks on a page because it doesn't activate the negative space associated with the right side of the text. So I always recommend left aligned right rag. However, if you want to include this, and I can see the reason why is you want your type to conform to this basic square, right? So the problem again there is the fact that there's just not enough words in this first line to accommodate justify type. For that reason, I would recommend leaving this as it is, leaving this as it is, and take this type right here and just go ahead and left align it. So you have called today, you've got address, called today. Another thing I would recommend is this. Yeah, I was going to say take this call today and move it up here to group it with the contact information, but it's okay. It's okay right here. It's okay. So yeah, so really those are the only changes I recommend. I think the ad is good. It's interesting. It's inviting, and it's effective. It includes all of the requirements for the ad. Now, one thing that you can do to lighten up the visual weight. Okay, what you can do is go in here. See the black background here at the top and the bottom. What you can do is go in here and sample colors out of the actual image itself. Try to search around for a good color. Okay, so like maybe that color right there to change the black in the bottom, and that will completely lighten up the visual weight associated with the ad. It'll give it a different visual posture. Try it, see if you like it. If you don't like it, if you want to stick with this kind of enhanced silhouette type thing and follow that with the black in the top and the bottom, that's cool. But right now I think the black is a little bit too dark, so we can see a line of black right there. It's hard to see, but it's there. So for that, to eliminate that, what I would recommend is taking the black, and instead of using black from your color swatches, come in here to a really dark area at the bottom of the image here, and sample that color for probably something closer to where the border is, and sample that color for use in the background. That way you won't have this little uncomfortable line here that goes from the beach color, that really dark sand color, to the black. One other recommendation is to come in here and use your patch tool to repair this right here, that kind of little sliver right there. Either that or increase the size of the box associated with background just to cover that up. That just seems like it's a mistake. All right, so those are my recommendations. Try it. I think you'll like those changes. And the only thing really I would like to see as you address at this point is the typography associated here. I think everything else is just fine. That and the size relationships here that I had mentioned. Okay, and changing the logo size to a little bit smaller. So that's it, really some just minor adjustments. But let me know your reactions. Go ahead and make those changes and resubmit right here, or shoot me an email with the new layout, or even in the general questions area of the discussion board. The point is I'd like to see this before it's complete, and that I want to see it before you start with your banner ad, just so we can get this squared away. So, it would make sense to finish the magazine ad before you start your banner ad, because to a high degree, the success of the banner ad depends on the success of this ad, right? That makes sense. So think about it. And then, as I said, it's really important when you do make these changes, go ahead and run it by me sometime between now and your final submission, which is coming up quickly in week 7, preferably sooner than later. All right, great start. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, really super important to get with me quickly. All right, great job. Thanks.